Today, I wanted to focus particularly on businesses or major projects. So, if you are somebody who has a small business, you're self-employed, or if you are somebody who maybe has a primary project in your life, like you're an artist or a musician, and even if it's not your main, you're not coming at it from a business angle, it's one of the main things that you're sort of putting the fire of your life into. We're kind of focusing on that today. We've talked about a lot lately about both in workshops and practice sessions about this idea of knowing your weakest link so that you kind of know where to start and what to make decisions based around. And we've done that kind of from a very all-encompassing point of view, but I wanted to focus in on your business or your main project today and kind of notice, your weak link for your life overall might be exactly the same as your business, but also it might be a little bit different or vastly different. And it's good to be really, in the same way that it's really good to be keenly aware of what your weakest link is in your life in general, knowing what it is in the main project that is kind of like your life's work or a big part of your life's work or something that you're trying to turn into a major source of your income, or hopefully all of the above, is going to support your life holistically, obviously. So the way we're going to tackle this today is, if you get a piece of paper or your notebook or however you'd like to write, I like doing this landscape, but you can put all of these are headings, and we're going to write things in columns underneath. And you can see this is kind of related to the 8 forms of capital idea, but a little bit different and a little bit more specific. I've sort of chosen 6 areas in which, when I'm trying to kind of brainstorm and notice what areas are weak links in the chain of my business or project, they usually fall under, or at least several of them fall under these categories. So we're not right now trying to focus just on one. We're just going to kind of make a list of any of them. And for some of you, basically use any of these columns as prompts that make sense. You might not have anything under some of these columns. That's totally fine. But we're just trying to notice, like, if you have a business and you're realizing I'm in an investment phase, but my business or project is not profitable right now, if that's something that is really important to you, you could write not profitable. Wow, okay. Let me see, let me make this a little smaller. You could write not profitable, and that's an example of a weak link. I think I spelled that wrong, but this isn't spelling class. But by the same token, if you just, if maybe it's not about it being profitable, maybe you just need cash flow. You need money to invest in your business. So you could just say need investments or need cash, something like that. So it could be anything like that, but thinking about, okay, this is something that's holding your business or your project back from being what it could be, being what you want it to be, taking it to the next step. Some examples of tools might be, this could be anything from, it could be something you don't have that you need, or it could be something that you have but isn't working very well. So I remember we were talking about cars a few months ago, and this idea of, like, having the right vehicle that could actually totally change how you do your project. And that's a good example of one. Like, if you're going, for me as a musician who used to do a lot of touring, having a vehicle that I could use on tour was really important. So I might do, maybe I have a car that's unreliable. That's not going to get me to every show. So I could say reliable vehicle. And right now, we're not trying to solve these problems. I could think, oh, I could rent a vehicle, or I could borrow one, or I could go on a tour with a band that already has a good vehicle, or I could buy a new one. And, there's a lot of possible solutions. But right now, we're just trying to notice kind of what the weak link is. One I often use is, like, for the longest time, my computer battery, my laptop battery has been low. I just keep never getting around to switching it. So if my power cord unplugs, I have about 5 minutes before the battery dies, and sometimes I don't notice it unplugged. Maybe I'm teaching and my computer dies and everybody else is just sitting on the Zoom call. So, that's an example of maybe that's not my weakest link, but we're just doing a weekly brainstorm here. So hopefully you get the idea. Space, I won't give examples for all of these. I'll just give a quick overview, and then I'll just let you start writing your own, and I'll write some more in case you want to see my examples. Spaces and places, if you have something that's location specific, maybe that means you need an office that you don't have, or you need a place to have Zoom calls, and you're in a co-working space, but you can never actually have the airwaves, the sound waves to yourself, or on and on. Maybe you need a dance studio or a natural place to go take people on a retreat. So these are all possibilities. People, this could be anything from customers if you're starting a business, or if you're doing a project where you need an audience and you just don't have that yet. Well, that's going to be a really important one to write on there. Or maybe you have a small group of people who are paying attention to you and you want to have more. So it could be something about your customer base or your audience. It could also be something about your team or coworkers, help that you receive from others. So that's what the people category is for. Skills, this is if you don't know something that you need to know for your business, like, oh, wow, I really need to figure out how to use this website building software or this new email software, or if you're, and again, this doesn't have to be a skill that you necessarily are going to learn, but it's a skill that's necessary for your project. So if I want to record an album, I could get really good at learning multi-track recording software or mixing my own album or mastering, but also the main thing is my album is going to need to be recorded and edited and mixed and mastered, whoever does it. So those are skills that are necessary for the project. So even if I'm not going to learn them, that means I'm going to need to find somebody else to outsource this to. But regardless, if the album is going to be complete, these are skills that somebody needs to have that I don't have right now. So that would go on my skills list. And then structures, I think this is business structures, like, this could be like, I need a better way of onboarding clients, or I need a better system. We could call it systems and structures, really. I need a better system for following up with people and getting feedback, or I think about the creative mapping project, and there are certain things that just need to happen every week. Like, once we do this recording, it needs to get uploaded to cloud and put on our video hosting, and then put on Mighty Networks and titled and posted. And there's all these things that just have to happen automatically. I'm lucky to have help from Hannah, and also a few just automated software things that do some of the parts of it automatically. And so we kind of have a nice machine going. It just posts everything in the right place throughout the week. And that's a system that I did, or a structure that I didn't always have set up, and I was feeling the weak link of that until I did set it up. So those are all examples of what things that might go into these categories. I'm going to mute myself now and just let you brainstorm for the next 5 minutes. And again, you don't need something in every category, but just try to notice if there are weak links in any. Maybe there are several, maybe there's one. Let's go explore. I'm just going to pop in here for a second to say, I think of weak weak links often, or really in all of this, I'm always thinking of whether something is green, yellow, or red. Green being like it's okay, it's abundant, it's great, it's working. Red being it's the opposite of that, like it's in a desperate state, or it's empty, or it's in debt, or it's in deficit. And yellow is kind of in the middle. And so for this sort of weak link list, I'm writing and I'm thinking of things that are red, or even that are kind of in the yellow, things that could be improved. It doesn't have to be your most dire, weakest link to be on this list. It's good to be aware of, um, what's on there. So we're going to take another minute and just think through if there's anything else that would go under any of these columns in our business or project. All right, so hopefully you've gotten at least a few items on under at least a few of these topics. And so now what we want to do is look through them all, and there's a few different things you can do with this. I think the most important thing you can do is kind of scan through here and say which right now is the weakest link in my business or project, which is the thing that if I could solve this problem or sort of strengthen this area, it would make the biggest difference in moving my project forward in the direction that I want to go. And that thing may not even be on this list yet. This is something you can continue to ponder, but look at what's on your list and highlight or put a star next to the thing. Maybe there's one obvious one, or maybe there's two or three, and you're like, it's these. So pick those. So just take a moment and actually, highlight the thing that seems like it's the most important. So I just did that for myself. Not all of these are real examples. About halfway through, I started actually doing real examples for Creative Mapping Project. But one of the things I'm looking for now is somebody who can do like course creation, take all of the raw materials that I've created and start turning them into something more digestible and easier to use, like even all these practice sessions, turn them into little mini courses and things like that. And then also clearer niche communication. I think that's something that is going to be a long-term thing for me to work on, but just figuring out how to tell people these are the sorts of problems that I solve, and these are the sorts of people I solve them for. One of the most important things you can do in your business or project, and when you do it, it's like magic, because the right people then know to come to you, and everything grows and it's good. So yeah, these are two things that I'm focusing on. And another little thing you can do, and I'll just leave you with this one. This is enough. If you found one to focus on, okay, great. You can almost flip that around and think, well, what would it look like if this was working for me? So course creation wizard, I just used that. I could say, like, I have somebody who can reliably create the content that I need in the way I need to. So I could write that sentence out and have that be my focus, and then guide my, any day that I'm working on my project, be like, okay, what can I do today to move this forward and make this more true? Another thing you can do too, if you have a little more time and want to have some fun with this, is take all these pieces and put them in order. Like actually think what would go first, what would go second, what would go third, and it almost turns into an outline of what am I doing today, what am I doing this week, what am I doing this month, what am I doing this quarter, some of these things might not actually be important enough to do until 3 months from now, and that's fine. But it's actually good to notice that and sort of take that out of, off the front burner, put it on the back burner. Because right now, all of this came to mind today. Clearly, it's all sort of on your mind. So figure out what is most important to focus on, and then put a few things on the back burner and go from there. But hopefully, this was helpful. Kind of get the focus where it should be for the day and for the week. And I'm going to leave it there unless there are any questions.